I'm waiting for you to talk first.
I felt giddy because I cut off my laugh. It was like, what did I just do? Because I still want to laugh, but you already counted.
Oh, look, we have people listening to us. That's a lie.
That's, yeah. We're
That's
the
a
only people listening to us. How sad.
lie.
But
With one listener on Spotify.
Spotify, yes, congratulations. But either way, welcome to Creepy Conversations with Kalai and Gabby.
That's Gabby.
And she's Kalai. And we're still giggly as fuck. I think you should tell them that there's something wrong with your microphone in case
Oh,
they ask,
right.
like, why is Gabby always like, huh? What are you saying?
I'm using a new microphone now, so for me, I feel like I'm already screaming, but I know that it's not that loud because I did a test earlier, barely hear myself, and I was like, what the fuck? I was already screaming. So yeah,
But it works.
so
It's better than having you be cut off every time you move.
that's
So
true.
it's like, which one? Today we're both drinking. Finally.
Yes,
Yeah, we did something right.
I'm
But
drinking
my
beer.
and I'm drinking wine that's been in my fridge for 2 weeks.
She thought we were gonna record last week.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna be extra burpy today because I'm drinking beer. How it is.
Oh my god, stop. You're always burpy, even without the
Yeah, but like
beer.
I feel like today it's gonna be like the real burp, like the construction worker burp that's like like that.
Did you just diss construction workers? Oh my
Oh no, no,
god.
I'm just kidding. Whatever.
Well, in this episode, I'll be coughing a lot because I'm sick as fuck. I practically signed up for this, but hey, the perks of recording inside your room, you don't have a reason to be like, nah, I can't make it to work, I can't record. My throat is like, Igor.
She didn't want to drink. She was like, I'm confused. I should drink. I was like, that's the cure, Gab, which is probably a lie because you know how we are.
It doesn't matter. It's very easy for you to convince me to drink. Just make
I
up some
forgot.
random bullshit.
Yeah. Do you know that that happened to me? Because I was sick and I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna drink. And, like in my office, like my anyway, I was like, I'm not gonna drink. And then they're like, do you know that beer is like the cure? Like cold beer is the cure for cough and flu. I was like, really? And they were all of them. Most of them were guys, and they were all like, yeah, it is. You didn't know that? That's like a known thing. That's what people drink all the time. It's like a tonic, a healthy tonic. I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna drink. And then the next day, I died. The fuck? I'm so gullible.
Well, beer should be the cure for cancer. But hey, we can't have everything. You wanna tell me about your week? You said you had a pretty awesome week.
I totally forgot about that. It's not really pretty awesome, but I just had like true crime every day because I don't get to listen to like true crime podcasts every day. But my
Right.
boss was away, so I was like, let
This
me
is what she
listen to
does.
true. I'm a disrespectful employee.
She's only good when you're around. But hey, if you get work done, that should be fine.
Yeah, and I did, except
you
on
you
Friday.
hesitated. You hesitated for a second. It's like, do
No, I
I
did.
or
And I just like started listening to Morbid, like a true crime podcast. Not
Yes.
Morbid Curiosity, but Morbid True Crime podcast. And they're pretty good.
I
I
loved
really,
it.
yeah, I really enjoy them. I made Gabby listen to them too.
Yes, their delivery. What did I just say? Their delivery is so good. I'm like, so I'm more ADHD when it comes to listening to podcasts. You can't hold my attention for a long time. But with them, I was so sucked into their story, I would finish the entire episode without pausing.
Yeah, kind of.
That says something.
That's true. Which is like the total opposite of our podcast.
Because we're just like,
I hope.
oh, yes.
And they're like really, I love the tone of how they like, why are we talking about another podcast?
Yeah. Oh, we haven't even told the listeners what they're in for.
Yeah! Like I said, we're opposite of the morbid true crime podcast.
We are fucking all over the place. But yeah, our topic for today is the unclosed case of Nida Blanca. Do we even have to say that? Like, they can read this from the title, you know?
We say that in every episode. Like, we don't need to say that because
But
y'all
we still
know that.
have
We still
to.
say it anyway. Why are
For
we laughing
formality's
so
sake.
hard?
I don't know. Is that even a question? We do this every time. Okay, anyway, we're trying something different. We're trying something different in this episode, and if this works out, we're probably gonna do the same thing all throughout. So it's usually like one of us does this part and the other does that part, but like a 50-50 thing.
Yeah.
But then this time around, it's more like 80-20. Is that it?
Gabby's gonna narrate like
Yeah, yeah, and I'm gonna be shit at this.
80%. No.
Well, I'm just saying that so they don't have like high expectations, and then when I'm nailing it, they'd be like, "Oh wow, she can do it."
Yeah. And I kind of tricked her into doing that because I started researching about Nida Blanca and I was like, this is too complicated. And I was like, Gab, why don't we do
Yeah.
why don't we do like the thing that your friend suggested? Because that was your friend, right? Who suggested like, why don't you guys do like an entire episode, like one will narrate and then the other one will react. And I was like, why don't we do that in this episode?
I just talked to him on social media. I wouldn't say friend, but okay. I'll say friend because he might be listening to this.
An online friend.
Shit. Yeah, I don't know what friends are. You have to graduate something first before you can receive the Gabby's friend diploma.
That's
So,
so you have to be weird to her in person for
it's the
her to be
same
like,
with you. No, wait, you're actually friendlier than I am. Because you come up to people when you're kind of into them, you come up to people and be like, hey, what's up?
hey, what's up? We're friends, but then I'm probably gonna forget you once I
Yeah.
resign from this place.
So, anyway, should we start now?
Yes.
It's been like 8 minutes in, and I think this is a pretty long. I have a feeling this is gonna be a two-parter. This is a pretty long case.
This is gonna be a two-parter. I want it
Yeah.
to be. This is gonna be our first two-parter there. I said that.
Awesome. No, we were gonna do it for the Chong case, but then we were too chicken,
Yeah, we were.
so we
No,
kind of
I was
crammed.
too chicken because Gabby wanted to do the two-part, and I was like, no, let's not do it.
I finally convinced her. Yes!
And then
Achievement unlocked. So, this case was actually dubbed by US attorneys as the Filipino equivalent of the O.J. Simpson trial. And if you guys are wondering why this involved the US attorneys, because, like, what? This is a Philippine thing. Well, you better listen. So, before I start, I'm gonna drop my sources, because let's face it, I'm gonna forget. I have here Wikipedia, of course.
Mhm.
Prime Crime Mysteries, which is written by Marisa and Oikoko Baksa, and she's an actual author. 90%, I guess, of this entire episode would not be possible without her because she wrote every single detail so well, and it was so easy for me to try to branch out my research because of her blog. So check her out. I actually followed her WordPress website.
What's your URL?
It's primecrime.home.blog.
Ooh, she's also my
Yes.
source.
Oh, see, because she's so good, and she comes up on the search engine quite fast.
Hmm.
So she probably did something right. And the rest of my sources are from newspaper clippings, which is the Philstar newspaper, Balitang Marino, Los Angeles Times, and The Inquirer. Okay, so this murder happened in November 7, 2001.
How old were you at that time?
I 9. I I'd be
Yeah,
9 years
probably.
old. Yes. I remember this actually being big, but I was so
Yeah,
confused why it dragged on for so long. I didn't understand what was going on. Like, it was always on TV. I would see it in the news, but I just thought it was because Nida Blanca was so famous.
same.
Yeah, that people were like, yeah, let's keep talking about this. But
Yeah.
after going through all the research, I was like, fuck, man. Okay,
Coaches.
now I
Yeah,
get it.
that's so true. And I still remember this because my mom was like a huge fan of hers. And
Mm-mm.
like, and I also like remember watching her old movies. And it was like a big deal to like my mom. She kept like watching
Right.
whenever like there was anything that was Nita Blanca on the news. She would be like, shh. And then we would like all watch it with her.
It was actually the same with my mom. Yeah. Because I think everyone knew her. And that's why everyone was like, yes, I'll watch this. I'm subscribed to whatever happens to her case.
Yeah, and she was still kind of like she was still an active actress at the
Yeah.
time, I think, right?
Yes. Actually, she's been acting for 50 years. She started her career in 1951 and then obviously ended in 2001 because of
Yeah,
this.
she was pretty when she was younger.
When she was younger. Did you have to say that? Wasn't she
No,
pretty
like I
much?
mean, let's
No, I'm sorry.
correct.
I'm just putting words in your mouth.
Yeah,
Ooh, my brain's like kind of quicker with the wine. I'm liking this. Anyway,
yeah.
so just to give a bit of background, Nida Blanca was a renowned Filipina actress who started her career at the age of 14. So, like I said, she's been acting for 50 years since 1951. And she was really good at what she did. She was exceptional at her role, and she was even dubbed Queen of Movies for more than a decade. Now, I'm just saying this, I'm giving you a download to give everyone an idea of how famous she was, and that basically she had a reputation, so everyone knew her, and that's why her death was a hot topic as well. So, being the veteran actress that she was appointed as as a board member of the MTRCB. This is the Movie and Television Review and Classification Board, which is a Philippine government agency under the office of the president. So these this agency is responsible for classifying TV programs, so they can be like, you know what, this movie is okay for kids, this one's not, and this is probably okay for 13-year-olds or stuff like that.
Yeah, if you're like, a younger listener, that's the thing that you see right before every television show that's like ting ting ting. Did I say that loud?
Yeah,
That usually happens in my head.
I
Sorry.
thought you were just gonna go straight to PG-13. You had to
Oh.
make the intro music like ting ting
I
ting.
don't think I got the tone right. Whatever.
uh, well, I can't
I'm
really
tone
judge
deaf.
because I can't tell, but y'all get what we mean.
Yeah.
Okay, so she was married twice. She had a daughter from her first husband, and then she remarried in 1979 to an American singer actor, Rod Lawrence Strunk, who is better known by his Las Vegas screen name, Rod Strunk. I can hear our
Mm.
listeners be like, oh, so that's why this involves the US.
Foreshadowing.
Okay, so that's it for her background. Let's go straight to the crime. November 6th, 2001, the night before she was murdered. Sorry, not night, the day before she was murdered. At around 12:30 p.m., she drove her car from her home to the MTRCB office, which is located at the 33rd floor of Atlanta Center Building in Metro Manila. So, as a board member, she attended screenings and movie show ratings twice a week in her office. And these screenings usually ended at around past 5 or 6. So on this day at around 5 p.m., Nita received a phone call. And then after which she told the employees that she was attending a wake at
Wait.
wake. Yep. Like, when someone dies.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. At, what do you call this? At Forbes Park, Makati. So then she cheerfully said, like, see you guys tomorrow. And at around 10 p.m. that evening, she wasn't home yet. And her personal assistant, Elena de la Paz, noticed this. So
What?
Elena's,
So
huh?
her personal assistant was the one who noticed it,
Yeah,
not like her
not the
husband or anyone
husband.
related to her.
No. Yeah, so Elena is actually her personal assistant slash aide, and she's been working with them for around 45 years. So they were pretty close. And so Elena started calling Nita's friends to check up on her whereabouts. And they were like, no, we haven't seen her. I'm not really sure where she is. So Elena was
Oh my
like,
god.
oh,
Wait, sorry to cut you off. Like that would never happen in my family because we hardly talk because we were like, oh, I'm gonna go somewhere and we wouldn't look for you if you don't come back in around the time that you would say you'd come back.
no, but then that makes sense because can you imagine? We know she gets off at work at around 5 or 6. So by 10 p.m., she's only been away for 4 or 5 hours. So that's
But she
kind
has
of
to,
normal. That's actually quite normal, right? But yeah, this Elena person sounds sketchy. Yeah, it's like, what? Where is she?
she has our instincts. She's like, something is wrong.
Something's up. Yes, actually, that intuition is true.
That's true though. You feel something when something's up.
Yeah.
Something
Yes.
like tells your brain to look for this person, but you don't usually look for that person.
Yes, it's kind of like when animals know there's gonna be an earthquake.
Mm.
It's the same for us. We just compared ourselves to animals. Okay,
Animals.
that's fine. So yeah, Elena then went to the Atlanta Center building, which is her office, because she got worried, and she was accompanied by two of her relatives to look for Nita. And then when she got there, the security guard told her that Nida's car was still there. So Elena thought like, oh, she probably went out with a friend on a different vehicle. And so Elena went back home at around 11:30 to tell Nida's husband Rod that they hadn't found her. But they didn't start to worry yet and stuff. So next day comes, it's around 8 a.m.
Hmm.
A roving security guard at the Atlanta Center building was inspecting the sixth floor parking lot, and then he found a trail of blood on the floor, which led to a car a few meters away.
Oh shit. Also, by the way, sorry to segue. That's like a dream of mine to see like a trail of blood and leading to and discovering a goddamn body and it would be like, oh my god, I need to call the cops. This is so cool.
Uh,
Not that I would want somebody to be dead, but
yeah,
you
yeah,
know what I mean. I want to
it's
be part
quite
of
of
the
an
drama.
experience. But I think
It doesn't
honestly, I
need
think
to be like a dead body, but it needs, yeah, it has to
just
be
the
like a part of the
suspense.
mystery. Yeah, it could be like an animal after an animal that's
Great. The start of a serial killer, but okay.
hurt.
But I don't think, like, in this case, I don't think you want to be the roving security guard who found her. Because I feel like the guilt would
Uh,
eat you up.
and
Be-
you're gonna be alone at that time.
yeah.
Someone
So
could
you
like
have
come
to
up.
wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he saw.
You know what? I take that back. I don't want. No, no, no.
The blood led him to Nida's car, and that's where he saw the actress locked inside, slumped in the back seat.
So she was sitting?
Yeah. No, actually, she was kind of like dumped in the back seat.
Oh.
So it was like, meh. But the thing is, she was locked inside.
Oh.
It's so weird. She was locked inside, so it's probably she got killed in the car or she was put inside there and then they locked it. But yeah, whatever. So in the initial investigation, they saw that she sustained 13 stab wounds, which were at the left side of her face. It was on her neck, ear, jaw, and then she had 3 stab wounds in the armpit. And the most fatal one was at her throat. So it was coming from the left and it cut through the right, which hit her jugular vein.
Oh my
And
God.
that,
I remember.
yeah.
Do you remember this in the news where there was like, you know how it is when they show the parts that were not the actual dead body, but no, sorry, not the actual body, but like the the drawing where they point like where the stab wounds are. Do you remember
I've
that? I
honestly
still
no.
remember that in the news. Like I remember where they pointed where the fatal wound was. Anyway,
Oh, how was it
continue.
though? Because
It was like,
I've
whoa. When I was a kid, I was like 10, and I was like, whoa, this is
Mm-mm.
something that I want to talk about to other people.
At 10 years old, there you have it.
Murderino at 10.
Yeah, the wound on her neck actually caused her death. And also, she had a black eye on the right side and broken ribs, so she was beat up. But
Mm.
there were no signs of defense wounds associated with a struggle, even inside the vehicle. And the gruesome part was the wounds were post mortem. So she died even before all the other stab wounds and her being beat up happened. Like she was beaten multiple times after she died.
What? So she was dead. Wait. So the stab wound came first, then they beat her up, or was it like?
No, so like she got stabbed in the throat, the one
Mhm.
that hit her in the jugular vein, that already killed her. But they still repeatedly stabbed her and beat her up after that. Because, like, the wounds were post mortem when they found it. And, yeah. I'm not sure if they knew she was already dead, but, like, that tells you something, It's like, according to
Yeah.
officers, actually, it indicated that the assailants were furiously mad. Because, like,
How many stab wounds did she have?
13.
Oh my God.
That's a lot. And by the way, she
That's
was
a lot.
already 65 at this time.
Could you imagine stabbing somebody that old? The fuck?
Exactly. I mean, even if
They're
not
gonna
that
die
old, but
soon.
like,
I mean, that's
it
true.
doesn't, yeah. It doesn't take a lot to kill an old lady, by the
Hmm.
way. But yeah, it's either they were making sure she was dead or they were just really mad.
Hmm.
So, the weapon would have been at least 2 short knives because the wounds were not the same. They were not identical. And what's annoying about this is, and this is why I said you're probably gonna hate being the security guard who found her, is because rigor mortis had not set in by the time they were examining her body. So her flesh was still soft and her wounds were still fresh. Um,
Oh,
you know that like it just happened. Like
oh my
had
God.
yeah, had the security guard been roving earlier,
Earlier, yeah.
he would have seen this, or he could have potentially stopped it. I don't know. But yeah, they concluded that her approximate time of death was between 4 to 5 a.m. So that's 3 to 4 hours before she was found on the same day. So also the blood trail which the security guard saw showed that her body was dragged from one
Mhm.
place to her car.
Interesting. Sorry, I'm not laughing at the thing, but like,
But
anyway,
yeah, it
foreshadowing.
it adds to the story. Um, but the annoying thing is the parking lot didn't have surveillance cameras, and
Mm.
it didn't help
What?
that the place was dark. I know, right? And the car was parked at the very end near the wall, which was partially covered by a concrete pillar. So it was very secluded. Guys, don't park in the corner. Park
Don't park in the
somewhere,
corner.
yeah, yeah, just don't park in the corner. Park somewhere bright or probably near the
That's true.
exit.
Especially nowadays, that have you heard in the news that there are cases of like men trying to attack women when they try to get in their car
What
here
the
in the
fuck?
Philippines? Yeah, it's
Why?
fucking crazy. So don't park in the corner. If you do, make sure you have a knife with you. No, I'm just kidding.
Buy a taser. Tasers are
Yeah,
legal.
or a rape whistle,
Really?
but better taser.
I will blow my whistle until you're deaf.
Hmm.
So yeah, now you know like this kind of murder was actually planned. I mean, who just kills somebody, drag them all the way to their car and then lock them inside, you know? And they
Yeah,
beat her up and stabbed her multiple times.
exactly. That's like overkill.
Exactly. So it's
Like
like
you're this.
what kind of psychopath are you, honestly?
Mm, true.
So now the question is like who wanted her dead and why? So, in the initial investigations, three major things came up. One is a bloody umbrella, two is a
Ooh.
huge bank transaction, and third was a testimony, which led to various theories and speculations. Now, I would have wanted to start with either the umbrella or the testimony,
Mhm.
but that would just make things complicated when we deliver this. So we're gonna start with the least likely one, just so we can eliminate the speculations as we go, and start with the bank account transactions that allegedly led to a certain Jose Velarde bank account.
Ooh.
Yes. Now this is very complicated, but I think you have more information than I
Yeah,
do.
that's so that's
So
so true.
let's
I agree right away.
so let's give them a bit of background before we dive into this,
Yeah,
because then it's yeah, it makes more sense.
yeah. So Sevelarde is like the alias for it was a bank account that they found for our president, not the current one, the 13th president of the Philippines, Joseph Estrada, or also known as Arap. He was, so I'll just give you a quick background of who he is. Like I said, he's the 13th president of the Philippines. He's the first president to come from a showbiz background, which, Nida Blanca was also from the show business.
Yep.
And then he's the first and only president to be impeached, to go through like the whole impeachment process and to be actually impeached. So he was charged back in 2001, from what I know, which was like 11 months after Nida Blanca's death. He was charged with four separate accounts for the following crimes. First one was acceptance of 545 million pesos, which in today's money is 10,700,000 something dollars. From proceeds of pueteng, which is like an illegal gambling game here in the Philippines. And then the second crime was for misappropriation of 130 million pesos in excise of taxes from tobacco. 130 million in today's money is 2,500,000 something dollars.
You're really good at
How much
these
it is?
estimations.
I looked it up. How much would it be now? And then the third one is receiving 189.7 million pesos. In today's money is 3 million pesos, which is a commission from the sale of the share of the Bell
What the fuck?
Corporation. Yeah, and a real estate firm, and he owns some 3.2 billion pesos, which is in today's money is 63 million.
Fun fact as well, is he running or did he run again for a certain
He,
position in politics? And
he,
he was actually one of the top candidates.
yeah,
Like
that's
what the
true.
fuck, people?
He's currently the mayor of. I should have looked this up before, but he's currently the mayor in Metro Manila
Oh god.
right now,
Yeah.
and then he ran for senator. Which I mean, why the fuck would you vote for somebody who's already in prison, right?
I have no idea why. It's like
Also, um, the last charge that he was charged for, why he went to jail, was a minor charge for perjury for underreporting his assets and liabilities and net worth, and for the illegal use of an alias name for the Jose Velarde account. So the Jose Velarde account is where the police traced checks from that account to Nida Blanca. Like they found checks that Nida kind of like had money from that bank.
yep. So she deposited to, sorry, she was debiting against Jose Velarde,
Mhm.
which was an account in Equitable Bank.
Mhm.
And these two checks were worth a huge amount of money. The
Huge amount.
first, yeah, the first one was 150 million pesos, which is around $3 million, and the second one was 50 million pesos, which is around $1 million. So something
This
sketchy is up.
is up. That's true.
Yep.
And it goes all the way to the top. When I was like searching about this bank account, it's still
Mm.
ongoing as of this
What?
day. Like they still have like the investigation against this account is still ongoing. Like last month, wait, no, last February, Arab like admitted that he was like the owner guarantor, which is
Oh
like
god.
he's not really like the owner, but the name was like under him, but somebody else
Mm.
is the owner, and it's so complicated. And I tried to search for like how Nita Blanca was like how her name was involved in it, but
Yes.
it just said there wasn't really like they completely dropped the case. There wasn't
Yeah.
like there was just a rumor that she owed something, but
Mm.
because of like because in the building where she worked for, there's a casino within that building. So they said that she was like kind of she owed money from a couple of loan sharks, and she
Yep.
was like trying to pay them back using the Savelarda money. I think because there's like sort of a connection because Arab was also or like the Joseph Estrada, the president,
Mm.
ex-president, was also like from the showbiz. So I feel like they had connection.
Actually, they were friends.
Mm,
Um, Arap and Nida Blanca were friends, and but honestly, I also couldn't find any tangible evidences as to how this actually came up and why they were linked.
yeah.
My brain actually exploded trying to look for it.
That's true. I tried to look for it too. Like, what was like? How did they find it? Where did that money go?
Yep.
It was completely dropped. And
Yeah.
so I'm gonna proceed. Harriet Demetrius, who's like Kay Torres's lawyer, who's Nita Blanca's daughter. Um, she said the Equitable Bank is willing to issue a certification as to the non-existence of any transaction between Nida Blanca and the ex-president Joseph Estrada. So that's why the NBI dropped that investigation. But
Yep.
interesting fact, Harriet Demetrius, she was the chairman of the COMELEC, or the Commissions on Elections, during the time of Death Coup. Death
Gloria
Coup
or
of
Arab?
yeah. So she was the chairman of the COMELEC at that time, and then she resigned after Gloria became the president.
This is one crazy shit. Yeah,
Right?
they even came up with a speculation that the people behind sorry, what's her name? Nita's death were the wife and son of the person behind the Jose Velarde account because she started owing them huge amounts and she couldn't pay them back anymore.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, there wasn't anything else around that, so I
Yeah,
can't really expound more.
same. I
Um,
tried to look for like any connection as to like they completely dropped it. Even the
yeah,
NBI, they were like, "Oh, there's no connection to it." But why the fuck did you mention it in the first place? Why did you say that
exactly.
they
And
found a connection? And it was like during the time that everything like the investigation was ongoing with Savelarda and Joseph Estrada at that
yep,
time, and they completely dropped it.
I yeah, I don't know. It is fucking crazy. And this the checks were found months after. Sorry, the checks that were debiting from this account were issued months before Nida Blanca's death. So that's how they thought it was like, oh, maybe she was killed because she owed people money.
Hmm.
But yeah, there you can't really find anything else about it. It's so sketchy.
It is. And to think that there's so many connections, like Harriet Demetrius, Kay Torres' lawyer, she's not the only connection to Arab. We will be discussing it like probably in the next episode what the other connection is to Arab Estrada. Like aside from the
Mm,
fact that Arab and Nita are friends and that Harriet Demetrius was like I don't want to start like a conspiracy shit and
we're
all
already
that
there.
stuff. Yeah, but like, why the fuck would you drop it just like that without any explanation? When in the
Exactly.
first place, the NBI or like the National Bureau of Investigation, like they discussed it in the first place,
Mm.
and then they're just gonna say, oh, there's no connection with it.
Actually,
Like, but when what?
most
Sorry.
of the theories, most of the theories and speculations from certain evidences were dropped.
Mm,
Like, why would you bring this up and then for no reason or like very little um, evidence or stuff to back it up and say, yeah, we're not pursuing that. Let's just drop this. A lot of
mm,
the evidences were just there,
yeah.
but I don't know. There's no detail whatsoever. It's so hard to find.
Yeah. And if you think that you've heard the name of Joseph Estrada before, we've mentioned him before in our Chong Sisters episode.
Oh my god, did
If,
we? I can't
yeah.
remember.
Um I forgot the name of the parents of the Chong sisters. Their mom, her
Mm,
sister was like the secretary of Joseph Estrada.
right. How? Oh,
So it's not that
wow.
we're against Joseph Estrada. He just like he did a
He's just a
lot of shit
sketchy
during his
character. Yeah.
time.
Oh my god. And then Gloria Arroyo, who was the vice president that turned into the president because of Arab's impeachment, was picking up the pieces.
Oh my
Like,
God! Speaking of Gloria Arroyo, one of
mm.
like Arab Estrada's. I'm so sorry. This is like far from Nida Blanca. But, like one of his defenses was like Gloria. vice president at that time was Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, who's like the 14th president of the Philippines. According to Arab's defense team, she teamed up with like the military and the religious leaders for a new leadership for the year 2000. That's why like these shit came up
What?
against it. Yeah. It's a
Okay,
whole
that's a
nother shit.
whole, yeah. Maybe we'll have an episode for that because that is trippy as fuck. What the hell is
Yeah,
wrong with our government?
I wanted to mention it because I was like, well, I was reading it's like what the fuck? This goes all the way to like deep, deep politics.
Yeah. So, um,
Anyway.
woo, there's that. So now we dropped the bank account because they didn't pursue that for some weird reason. And so let's go back to the casino rumor. So now, Nita was actually fond of going to the casino, and in earlier statements and investigations, there were so-called witnesses that said that they saw her in Casino Filipino Parañaque City the night before she was murdered. So this was November 6th between 10 to 11 p.m. So their theory was, and this went up in August 25, 2002, that the veteran actress was, okay, get this, it's so funny, carrying millions of pesos worth of casino money before she was found dead inside the car. They said that she was carrying around 2 million pesos, roughly $4 million, in cash,
Hmm. In
which was
cash?
yeah. Can
What?
you imagine? It's like what kind of idiot does that without any security with her? Like, why would she bring that huge amount of money? But yeah, this was another speculation that
Where
she
did they?
was. Where did they what?
Where? Sorry, I was like, where did they get that? Aggressive of me.
Yeah.
Where did they get that?
No.
That theory.
It it was believed that it was part of the proceeds of the money lending business she had with other partners at the casino. Um, and this was raised by the lawyer of Pedro Philip Medel, which is a suspect we will be talking about in our next episode.
Mm.
So,
Very interesting character, that Philip
y-
Medell.
yeah, yeah, remember that name. But he raised that theory and said that she could have been killed by robbers because of this. Like,
What?
what lousy person would come up with shit like this? Like, I'm not even a professional, but I can say I call bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Who would carry this
First of
much
all,
amount of money?
yeah,
Like,
and first of all, like, what? How did they have access to her car? Like, how would they know
exactly.
that? Right?
And also, if, okay, let's say this actually happened. If I were a thief, I
Mm.
would not stab her 13 times. I would try to incapacitate her, take the money, and leave.
That's
They
so
already,
true.
like, what the fuck? She got stabbed 13 times, she got beaten up, and there were no signs of struggle. So how is this a robbery?
That's so
You
true. And if I were a robber, not that we're teaching robbers not how to do the crime perfectly, but like I wouldn't drag her body inside her car and like I would like fucking shoot her, grab her shit, then leave, right? That's what
But then she wasn't
how they
shot.
usually do. Yeah, but what I'm saying is how that's how robbers usually do it.
Well,
If
yeah.
they were, and it wouldn't be in a fucking parking lot. It would be somewhere else.
That is so, yes, that's so dumb. And like, look, if she had, I have so many questions for this stupid theory, to be honest. Let's say she got this money before everything else. Why would you have 20 million pesos sit in your car for an entire day while you go to work and then do other shit? I
And
mean,
plus, from a casino, you'd probably be bringing chips or whatever. You wouldn't cash in it like cash in that money right away.
and this is what checks are for. God damn it! Like who brings?
So true.
I don't even have much money, and I don't take cash with me. I have cards for
Yeah,
that.
that's what cards are for. Damn it.
It's
Although
so stupid.
he did say that it was like for to loan other people.
Oh my god, send it straight to their bank account. Why?
That's right.
Also, you're a 65-year-old lady. What? What kind of bullshit is this? Like, if you bring that, even banks have armored cars.
That's true. 20
What
million is
makes
a lot.
Yeah, what makes you think I'd be like, yeah, you know what? I'll just take this in my car and go about my day because carrying 20 million pesos in cash is normal.
I'm a
Like,
65-year-old lady. Nobody's probably gonna like suspect me of bring this. How did she bring it too? Like she 20 million isn't gonna fit inside one like attache
she
case or what do
she
you call
probably had
that?
a stroller with her, like a luggage. It's like, hey.
20 million is a lot.
I don't know. Oh my god. And the weird thing is, you know how they say in the initial investigations there were witnesses that said she was in the casino,
Mhm.
but then they dropped this angle. Like they didn't pursue this angle because there wasn't a single witness or evidence that supported the theory. So it's
Oh.
like fucking complicated. I'm not saying they should pursue this because it's dumb, but
Mhm.
it doesn't match up, you know? Like people say, "Oh, we saw her." But then they also
They
say
disappear.
there are no witnesses. So which is it? My god, it just says so much about how crappy our justice system is. People
Yeah.
don't take this lightly. This is the entire lives of people. And
But
can you
also,
imagine? Mm,
wait, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, like, can you imagine this is already a year after her death, and
Mm.
they're still trying to debate what is true and
What is
what's
true
not.
and what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I think I mentioned that I already read the book Smaller and Smaller Circles,
Mhm.
like the book that was anyway, which is a book like we wanted to read, which was like a serial killer in the Philippines, and then two priests were like the investigators for it.
Mhm.
Anyway, in that book, it kind of, which is I think we could relate. Like if you were the investigator and you there are like other people with higher power who's like telling you what to do. Like I don't know how to fucking kind of get trapped and like you know what the real truth is, but you
Yeah.
can't say it because there are people with higher power that could hurt. So you'd be like, oh, you know what? Let's not follow
Right.
because my life is in danger and I don't know how to tell you guys that my life is in danger. So let's just say that we're gonna drop this case, right?
That is so true, and it happens so much, like, to our country.
Hmm.
And this is more or less a similar scenario with the Chong case, to be honest. It's
That's
like, what's true, what's not, why are these things coming up, where did this come from? Why are we suddenly dropping this? Why do you say there's no sufficient evidence to support this? You know, it's complicated.
and
And
what's interesting also because remember in the Chong case there was like an actual like page for the entire initial report and the whatever for like the
mhm.
whole. I couldn't find the same thing for. Did you find the same thing for Nida Blanca? Like the case or like the whole case, the whole case, the
No.
whole case,
No, everything was kind of chopped up and segmented because
right?
everything. Okay, so the theories and speculations technically happened all together. Like it happened at the same time and it kind of just branched out.
Mhm.
So the police are like getting evidence after evidence and then they're pursuing different things and dropping different things at the same time. But like we said, there are no specific details as to why they dropped the case. Sorry, why they choose not to pursue certain angles.
That's
Um, yeah, it's kind of a weak thing to say there are no solid evidences for us to pursue this. It's like, why? How
yeah.
can you say this? Like, what caused your evaluation to be like, yeah, this isn't where it's supposed to
Well,
go?
like the Hafsa Velarde case, like they just said that oh the Equitable Bank can like come up with
Exactly.
that
It's like,
that
okay, you just gave up after that? What?
yeah and yeah the E said that they can come up with it, but where is it? Where's the actual thing where they said that it doesn't exist? But in the first place, you saw checks. Like
Exactly.
how does it? I don't know how, but
It's
it
like
could be
you're
also
hiding. Also,
yeah.
what?
Or it could be like Arab was like, Nida, we're friends and I just need you to back me up. Can you like withdraw money? I'm gonna write a check for you and you just give that money back to me. That could have happened.
But do you think she was that type of person? Because she was also painted as a sweetheart. You know, she, even in her roles as an actress, she would always play a wholesome character. She was known to be noble and respectable. I don't know if she had a secret life, but do you think she'd be that type of person?
Maybe we'd never know because why? I mean, if she was really a sweetheart, I don't know. I don't know
They always
what,
have that secret thing, right? It's like you never
right.
know. It's usually the quiet kids that are
It's usually the people who are like, I want people to think that I'm a certain brand or a certain
right.
type of person, right?
Y-
They're
That
usually the
is true.
opposite based on experience. No, not
Yeah.
kidding.
Oh yeah.
I'm not kidding.
By the way, I forgot to include a certain detail about this casino rumor. So you know how initially they said there were witnesses that she was found in Casino Filipino the night before she died, and they said they saw her with a friend who is known as Ding while she was there.
Hmm,
Yep, and
interesting.
and this is all gonna make sense why while the police started to question this friend and kind of pointed out or insinuated that she was part of the murder
Mhm.
in the next
In
episode.
Which is why
um,
you should
you,
watch
you
the
should stay
you should
subscribed. Yeah.
yeah,
So
subscribe,
anyway,
rate, review,
and wait, did we miss out anything? Subscribe, rate, review. What?
subscribe, rate, review.
Just keep repeating that. On iTunes, Spotify,
Spotify. You can follow us on Spotify. Yeah,
follow, subscribe.
follow, subscribe.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, don't
what
forget
the
our
hell is
social
happening?
medias on
Yeah,
Facebook, Twitter, eventually Instagram. So y'all gotta, you know, wait up for that
yeah,
at Creepy Convos. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for
yeah.
creeping, you fucking creeper.
And remember, like literally remember, the government is always watching you.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.